guys, Miss Perry here. We are all done with our cells and our mitosis unit, and now we are moving on to the body, the human body and the body systems. So this is a super cool topic in science. I know I said that about everything, but I really mean it. Stuff is really cool to learn about because it's actually happening and it's part of you. So our two main learning goals for today are: how do scientists organize life? And what is homeostasis and how does it relate to organ systems? So let's get started. Because of our last unit, you know that all life is made up of what? Cells. Very good. And organisms can be unicellular, which is one cell. Uni means one cellular cell. Or organisms can be multicellular, many cellular cells. So us and dogs and cats and plants and a whole bunch of other stuff, we are all multicellular. So right now we are going to look at how scientists break down the levels of organization when it comes to life. So the very most basic, smallest level of organization is, yes, you guessed it, a cell, right? The smallest unit of life is a cell. So if something is alive, the smallest we can break it down to in life forms is a cell. Now, there are different types of cells. We learned about this a little bit my last video about mitosis, right? So there is this process called cell differentiation, and you all know I'm a terrible speller, so I have to spell it here. This is your first vocab word for this unit: cell differentiation. differentiation. Cell differentiation is simply how cells become different types of cells. Types of cells. So cell differentiation is what happens after fertilization. After the sperm meets the egg, there is a zygote formed, and this zygote is formed of many cells. These cells are what we call stem cells because they can stem out to be a whole bunch of different types of cells. So you have your stem cell here in the zygote, and your stem cells, they are given different directions by chromosomes, which you should also know about chromosomes. They're given different directions, and stem cells can turn into any type of cell. So they can turn into bone cells. They can also turn into muscle cells. And what else? Blood cells. So cell differentiation is the process of how stem cells can turn into bone cells, muscle cells, blood cells, all the other different types of cells that make up plants and animals. That whole process is called cell differentiation. So back to levels of organization. Our most basic level of organization, our smallest level, is the cell. After cells, if we're building an organism with its levels of organization, we have tissues. And we're not talking about the kind that people were going crazy for at the grocery store. This type of tissue is a group of similar types of cells. So you actually have 4 different types of tissues in your body, but we'll probably touch on that next year in 8th grade science. But a tissue is just a group of similar types of cells working together to do a job. So you have your cells. Then a group of the same type of cell is called a tissue. For example, we'll say you have a cell in your stomach, right? Then there are a bunch of epithelial stomach cells, or I'm sorry, not epithelial. Yeah, they do have epithelial cells that make up the lining of your stomach. So your stomach cells together make up a tissue, which lines which lines your stomach. So all of those cells working together to line your stomach, that's called a tissue. All right. Now, what happens when we put a bunch of tissues together? Well, then that's what we call an organ. And you should all know this word before. So an organ is just a group of different tissues. Now, these different tissues are all working together to perform a job in your body. So your organ that you have in your body is a stomach. That stomach is made up of 4 different tissues that are working together to carry out its job. So it has muscle tissue in there, connective tissue, epithelial tissue. It even has nervous tissue in there, which sends signals. So you have nervous tissue in your stomach to let you know when you're full, to let you know when you should stop eating. So all of these tissues made up together, that's what makes an organ. So what happens when we have a bunch of organs working together? Well, then that's what we have. It's called an organ system. Pretty easy to remember, right? And your organ system are just groups of different organs. They're groups of different organs working together to form a job. So, does anybody know what organ system your stomach belongs to? Very good, your digestive system. So your digestive system is made up of a bunch of organs, which are made up of a bunch of organs, which are made up of a bunch of tissues, which are made up of a bunch of cells. So your digestive system, you have your esophagus, you have your large intestine, your small intestine, your stomach, even your mouth, your tongue is involved with digestion as well. So it's all of those organs working together in an organ system, like your digestive system. Your organ systems are actually what we're going to spend the rest of this week learning about. And then put all those organ systems together and you have a lovely organism. You are all organisms. And your organism, is many organ systems working together. So you are made up of a bunch of organ systems all working together to carry out your life processes. So this week we are going to learn about all these different organ systems that make up the organism humans, because you are all growing humans and it is important for you to know what's going on in your body, right? So this is how we're going to deal with the levels of organization in your body. Cell, tissue, organ system, and then finally the organism. So that's learning goal 1. Check, done. You are all geniuses. You all know your levels of organization. You'll notice I said that we were going to learn about something called homeostasis. So homeostasis is super duper duper important because it is how you stay alive. So this is another vocab word for our unit. Let's use a different color because that marker was kind of bad. Let's try this one. So I want you all to know this word, homeostasis. Homeostasis. Homeostasis is how your body maintains steady internal conditions. STEADY, internal conditions. So that means your body is always staying at one temperature, one moisture level. It's all staying the same inside your body, internal. So homeostasis is steady internal conditions, even when external conditions change. So this is always the goal of all of your organ systems, is to maintain homeostasis. You break down homeostasis, homeo means the same, stasis means like state of being. So how do we keep the same state of being? Well, your organ systems all work together to make sure your body is always in homeostasis, to make sure your body is always where it needs to be in order to carry out your life functions. So your organ systems work together to do this. How do they do this? Well, what happens when you touch a hot pan on the stove? You pull your hand away, right? That's your nervous system working to one, protect yourself so you don't get burned, but two, it's also maintaining that internal environment. It's making sure your hand in the cells inside your hand doesn't get too hot, right? Because then if that gets hot, then we have tissue damage, and then you could even lose your hand. So it's that organ system going, ow, stop, move it away, maintain that homeostasis. This is also the reason why, if you are outside on a hot day, if you're exercising or playing on the beach, or even sometimes just sitting in the sun is enough to do that, you'll start to sweat. That's your body maintaining homeostasis. It knows outside it's getting a little hot. So your organ systems have ways to cool your body down, right? And homeostasis is also a way that we know when we're hungry, we eat because we need to keep up that energy level, right? So this is really important, and this is the goal for all of your organ systems. So I am excited to teach about the body systems, and I hope you guys have as much fun learning about it as I'm having teaching. Have a great week, and if you have any questions, you can always email me, tperry@valpo.k12.in.us. Have a great week, guys.